Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zaki and Sean and Brian are talking about movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to MovieFilm. This is episode 20, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. My name is Zaki Hassan.
Sorry,
Yes, Sean?
episode 20?
Yes.
Wow. Continue. That just took me by surprise. 20. Go.
I know, it's been 20 episodes. It's hard to believe. As I was saying, my name is Zaki Hassan, and I am joined by, at this point, Sean would say his own name, but...
Oh, me.
Yes.
See, Zaki, infamous is when you're more than famous.
Oh,
Guapo's not just famous, he's infamous.
I understand.
It's a sweater!
So, Brian Hall is not with us anymore, or
Yay.
rather,
He's dead. Brian Hall died.
I love how we're laughing at that. That's hilarious. Brian has decided that work is more important than hanging out with his friends.
Whatever. Hollywood.
Proving once and for all he has no priorities at all.
Mm-hmm.
At all. But that's okay because Sean Coyle is here.
Hello.
Hi, Sean. And we are joined by the third voice that you just heard, which is Paul Shirey.
Yay!
Paul is, of course, news editor for JoeBlow.com, and he is serving as our substitute Brian today.
But wait, we should still... I'll pretend to be Brian, because we still need to get his classic intro reaction.
Oh, okay. And we're also joined by Brian Hall.
I'm not
Thanks,
prepared.
Brian.
I'm not prepared for this show.
Man, we are bastards when Brian's not around. Jeez.
Something tells me he's going to be getting some vengeance on episode 21.
I know.
You're setting it
It's
up
going to be
right
rough.
now.
He's going to be swearing a lot.
No.
This whole show's just going to be a bunch of inside jokes,
That's right.
by the way.
I'll do my best not to swear. You guys have a bleeper when you go back and edit, right?
Well, let's try to keep it PG-13.
So I get one Oh.
Darn it.
No, you don't, because by the time you hear that, it'll be bleeped. So, okay, so Sean, we tend to start the show lately anyway with Sean Coyle's delayed reaction, which is you watching a movie that's about 6 months older than everything else we've talked about. So, do you have anything new that's old?
No, it's been a busy couple of weeks. I started a new job, which has taken up a lot of time.
Oh, that's
and,
right.
And my daughter turned 1, so that's been pretty awesome.
Yay!
Happy
yeah,
birthday to
thanks.
Sean's daughter.
Yeah, so it's been an eventful couple of weeks.
Yeah. My youngest one turned 2 earlier this week.
Wow.
And so now I hate him. Because that's how it happens. The terrible 2s happen instantaneously. Paul, you know this because you probably went through them, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Felt like it was more of like the terrible 3s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of with my middle one.
It was like 2.5 to 3.5.
Really?
I think was. Well, that's not true. 'Cause 3.5's kind of cake. Maybe it was
Really?
terrible
Well,
2s. I don't know.
my middle one, it's just the terribles because he entered that phase and he hasn't stopped. And it's just, yeah. So that's what you realize. I was telling Sean earlier this week that after a while you develop sort of like a pain callus when it comes to your kids getting hurt. At least this has been my experience because earlier this week, like my oldest one, like we have these chairs with no bottom. Right, so really we have these hazards around the house where they're broken chairs with no bottom. So what the kids do is they use them as climbing tools to get into things they're not supposed to do. So my oldest one, there's a chair, he's climbing on it, there's no bottom, and I'm telling him, I'm like, don't do it, you're gonna get hurt, don't do it. And of course he's like trying to climb onto the counter, he trips, whacks his head on the counter, slumps to the floor limply. Not moving.
Get out, quit playing.
Right away. I'm like, not going to do that again, are you? I'm like I don't even check for his pulse. And right away in my head, I'm like, what is wrong with me? When did this happen? I'm like, walk it off.
You're like
pussy.
Robert De Niro in Heat after he hits that dude during the robbery.
That's
Stand there, let it bleed. Let it bleed.
That's right. Walk it off. So that's been my experience. So I'm
just confused that you have a bunch of chairs with no bottoms.
Yeah, that's really weird.
What do you use them for?
Yeah, well, you've seen Casino Royale, right?
Oh.
Yeah. They got the inspiration from me. Yeah.
Don't accept invitation for dinner at Zaki's house.
No, it's because we tried to see. This is the problem in the Hassan household. There's no one who is handy. So what I tried to do was like switch out the upholstery on the chairs, on the chair bottoms, and do that. And my wife ended up doing it, and I like didn't help. And anyway, end result, we have a bunch of chairs we don't use with bottoms that aren't there. So, that's how we roll. Anyway, so as we do each and every episode, we try to start out with some listener letters where people give us their thoughts on the show and or ask us some questions. To start things off, we have one new review on iTunes, and just a reminder to people. I know, people
I'd like stop checking just because I thought people didn't care.
No, people care. People care, Sean.
One new person cares.
One new person out of, yeah. We have 10 reviews up. So in other words, we're averaging one new review every 2 shows, essentially.
All right.
So 2049, we're looking at...
That's right. Eventually, we'll have triple-digit reviews. It'll be nice. And this is from Night Fox. Who I believe is a superhero, if I'm not mistaken. Partnered with Phoenix Jones. See, I'm glad you guys got the Phoenix Jones reference. I was actually, for those people who don't know, just to explain that reference, Phoenix Jones is a real life, and I'm using air quotes, a real life superhero who operates out of Seattle. And Sean, have you heard of Phoenix?
Oh, yeah.
Phoenix Jones? And I mean, this is a real guy, and he wears this ridiculous costume, and he's out there with mace and a billy club or whatever, beating people up. And one of my clearest memories I have of Phoenix Jones is I brought this whole thing up in one of my classes, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, this is a real guy, and he's, he does this thing, and he's jumping around, and he's got this crazy costume. And there was this one student who is an African-American student. He's like, is he black? And I'm like, well, and he's like, please don't let him be black. And I pull up a picture. He's like, he is black. Oh no. And so and Phoenix Jones, and now he's expanding to England. So he's doing like a Batman Inc. thing where he's expanding his Justice League of loser. So I mean, this is a real thing. I mean, this is the world we live in. I blame Christopher Nolan. I don't know why. Just because it seems easy.
You should probably blame Mark Millar for that one.
Oh, right, because of Kick-Ass.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, good point. Touche. Anyway, so Night Fox, in between beating up muggers or whatever, says, just the right amount of insightful analysis and nerding out. Keep up the good work. So thank you for that, Night Fox.
Sweet.
And then here we have a question from Lillian. And she asks, and I think this is a good question, she says, why do TV shows / movies tend to stray from the books they're trying to adapt after the first season or film? Look at True Blood, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, list goes on. It's like after the first movie or season, they don't care about the original storyline. I understand that you have to go with what ratings are, but really, some shit just gets weird.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. So I will say up front, I don't watch True Blood. I've never seen Game of Thrones, and I've only seen the first Harry Potter. I know. I'm ridiculously behind.
Did you say you don't watch?
Really need to watch.
You should have just said you don't watch Game of Thrones. I'm not.
I know, Paul. You're like a fanatic of that show, right?
Best show on television. Best show I've ever seen in my life.
Now, have you read the books?
I read all the books.
Okay, so this is actually tailor-made for you then. Why the changes, and do they make the end result better or worse in your opinion?
Well, that's why it's a great question, because it's not 100% true. Because Game of Thrones is deadly accurate with some minor changes. Mm-hmm. All the big story arcs and characters and everything. It's like when I watch that show, I mean, I get genuinely excited, more excited than I do oftentimes seeing a big budget movie coming out, because they stay so true to the material. It is truly amazing. It's like almost like, say, Fight Club level in terms of an adaptation, which is very, very, it's like 85% accurate.
But Fight Club is true to the book.
Yeah, minus like a few small tweaks, deadly accurate. But Game of Thrones follows it to a T, which is what I love, because instead of trying to hook a new audience, which is probably why they changed so much stuff in the show.
Yeah.
Because once they hook you with that initial season 1 where they stay mostly true and everything, they hook in these audiences and they pull in all these people. Season 2 comes around, they're like, hey, we got these people, they're here, let's shake it up a bit, because by now they probably read all the spoilers on Wikipedia, or they've gone and read the books themselves. Now let's take it in another direction.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some shows that demand integrity, and Game of Thrones is one of those. I mean, it has a huge following.
Sure.
And I think that you would actually lose audiences if you strayed too far from the material. And plus, the material is strong enough to stay with it, because Game of Thrones definitely, they take the books themselves, they take some twists and turns where you're like, holy crap, that is awesome.
Okay.
And this season is definitely going to be the best.
The current season that just started.
This season and next season, they're based on the third book, A Storm of Swords, which has just the most brutal, awesome, crazy twists and turns and events. Just great. I couldn't recommend Game of Thrones more, especially to you guys. I think you would just probably more so you, Zaki, than Sean, because you'd be more into that.
Now, Paul, am I right that the third and fourth books are set at the same time but depicting different events? Is that
the fourth and fifth books?
Fourth and fifth, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Somebody had mentioned that to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, to that point, I'm assuming when you talk about switching things up, you're talking about shows like The Walking Dead.
And that is one that is perfectly consistent with the question, in that, it has strayed so far away. And you know this because you've read, and I've read all The Walking Dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm at the point now where I'm like, I enjoy the show, but I no longer equate it with the books. It's so far different at this point that there's no way I could have any expectation to see any kind of scene from the books. And by the end of this last season, that's when I was like, all right, it's totally different.
They've kind of gone completely off the reservation, yeah.
And as far as why for that goes, you look at how many showrunners they've gone through, and I think a lot of that has to do with the conflict of staying true to it. Even with Robert Kirkman involved, who's kind of he's both a champion and like the worst enemy to the show.
Why is that?
Well, because he has stated repeatedly that he is all about changing things up, because in his mind, he's like, well, I already wrote these stories, and I've already seen them, so it's kind of boring. I want to change it up so that it's something different.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans have been like, yeah, man, what are you doing? And I agree, Sean. Sometimes some changes are kind of necessary. You're going to have to. You got to be able to let some stuff go. But I think with Walking Dead, they've just
But Paul, by that same token, you tell me. I've had this reaction where I expect, based on my familiarity with the comic, that certain characters will die or certain characters won't die, and I've been surprised by that. And specifically, we can talk about the season finale, for example. Yeah. And I found I appreciate not knowing where things are going. Has that been your response, or?
Well, and yes, to an extent, because I do enjoy the show, and I'll watch next season. So they've kept me for 3 seasons. They'll keep me for a 4th. But initially through season 2 and then through this season, I think that I felt a lot of kind of disappointment, and then I kind of held on to it and I just let it go, because I was like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
I have no involvement with the show, so it's like, you can hang on to that anger and just stop watching, or you can just accept what it is, which is still a very entertaining show, and move on. Now, in terms of, I will say the one character, who I won't name, that dies in season 3, they really ruined that character, in my opinion.
Totally.
Based on the way that character is portrayed, who is still alive in the books, they just ruined that character.
100%.
They turned that character into something that was absolutely not what that character is in the books, and that's where I was kind of like, whatever.
That, in my opinion, was from the get-go, because I never liked that actress in that role. It didn't work for me. Yeah.
It's too bad, because it would have been nice to have seen that character develop into the character that we see in the books.
Right. Totally agree. And just really briefly, just to put a button on Lillian's question, have you guys A, seen the movies, and B, read the books of Harry Potter?
Yes, I read all the Harry Potter books.
Just the first one.
Just the first movie or just the first book?
I've seen like 4 of the movies, but only have read the first book.
Okay, so again, Paul, this might be one that's more in your wheelhouse. I haven't seen any of them except the first one. So, what about the book to movie ratio there in terms of what they keep and what they change?
For me, Harry Potter is one of those that's been like dead on. I'm not analyzing page by page, but when I see the movies after reading the books, I'm like, oh wow, that's readily consistent. I think here's the other problem, though, too, that people get so hung up on the books in terms of being translated. There's some people that are like, oh, every single page, every single moment must be on screen. Right. You have 2 hours to tell a 500 to 700 page book. You can't get it all in there. So I think that sometimes expectations aren't realistic in terms of what can be translated and what can't. But Harry Potter, man, they did a phenomenal job with that series. I love the Harry Potter series. I love the books. I was reading Harry Potter when I was in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Wow.
I read those books, and they were a great escape. They were tremendous entertainment, and I felt that the movies only got better as they grew. And I think that the last one was actually the best of all. And you can watch that transition because the first one is very childlike and for the kids. By the time you get to the last one, you're like, you'd be covering your kids' eyes if for real watching that. So.
I mean, I remember seeing the first. In fact, I saw it with you guys.
Yeah.
In 01, and
it came out like a month before Lord of the Rings.
It was in November of 01, I believe, and I fell asleep about a third of the way in, and so I missed about half an hour because I just conked out, and I was like, oh, okay, and then like 2 years later, this is after I got married, the wife and I, so this like dating it was like there were 3 out already, so maybe this is a couple of years after that. And we're like, oh, let's watch them. And I fell asleep at the same part, and I woke up at the same part. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm just not meant to watch this movie. So I will make it through them at some point. But I was thinking about how, you talk about fidelity to the book, and that was the reason, that was the quote-unquote reason that Warner Brothers gave for making Part 7 into 2 movies.
That's a huge book.
Well, but you know that they were kicking themselves for not thinking of that idea 6 movies ago.
Oh God, I know it's a new awful trend in Hollywood. Like the Hunger Games, they're already like, "Hey, 2 movies for the last one, Twilight, 2 for the," and Twilight's like the worst. Like that, like the worst ending. They didn't even like the book had a very uneventful. And that's when they created the whole. I don't care if I spoil anything with Twilight. They create this whole dream sequence, and I haven't seen the movie. I only know about it. But they create this whole dream fight sequence.
Can you really spoil Twilight? I think it spoils itself.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a carton of rotten eggs from the get-go.
Well, and then of course we have The Hobbit, which is the an insta trilogy.
Yeah.
Of The Hobbit. So somebody pointed out to me. I
love The Hobbit, so I'm all for it.
But even so, you don't feel a little bit that it's indulgent, if nothing else, to turn it into a 9-hour?
It totally is, but because I love it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down. As long as I don't run out of the theater nearly barfing again, I'll be okay. I mean, that was my experience with the 48 frames. So if we can avoid
we had
repeating.
different experiences there because I love the 48 frames.
You know what? I fully accept that that's me and me alone, but it was a real thing. Like people are like, oh, you're just exaggerating. I'm like, you're not even like at that moment I was immediately like, what's going to happen when my wife picks me up from the hospital? Like that was, you know where you start having like the backup plan. That's me. I was in backup plan phase. It's like, what's going to happen after I pee my pants? Like I don't have a change. Like you start considering that. That was me.
I just wish I could be like that guy at the theater watching, like just be standing in the lobby to get my popcorn. And here comes this dude busting out of The Hobbit.
Oh my God. It was close. Yeah, I mean, the guy was like, "Oh, I thought you were drunk. I thought you were drunk." I
usually get drunk before I go see a Hobbit movie.
Yeah, no, it's the time. That's the time to do it.
Let me ask you guys this: like,
yes, sir.
With TV, it's obviously a different animal because you have to sort of, you have to plan for the possibility that this show is going to go on for like 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. Mm-hmm. So obviously, like, in terms of like being faithful to the source material, like it makes more sense that a TV version is going to evolve into a different animal.
That's a great point, Sean, and I'll tell you what happens there is that you're gauging audience response after that first season too, and the response you get, from message boards to, you find out how people feel about your show, and if you want to keep your show on the air, you're like, oh shit, well, this is what people really like. We need to tailor more of this, or we need more of this character and less of that character, or hey, we're going to kill this guy off because everybody hates him. So that's what Sean said is dead on as far as that goes, because that is absolutely what happens. And with a TV show, you can do that. With a movie, you get one shot. It's like if you're doing one movie, a single movie adaptation, you got one shot to get it right. But with a TV show, that first season, sure, you're going to hook everybody in. But then after that, if you get the green light for another 2, 3, whatever, you have more leeway to kind of tailor it to your core audience.
Well, what are your thoughts on, like, 'cause to my understanding with the Harry Potter movies compared to the books, it's not so much that they changed things; it's just that they left certain parts out of the movies.
Yes, yeah.
Now, with something like Jurassic Park, for example, the first Jurassic Park, the book and the movie there's a lot. Obviously, the basic similarities are there, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of characters that are very, very different in the book.
Yeah.
And their fates as well.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. I think with Jurassic Park, it's like right in the middle of the movie, right after the T-Rex attack is where it goes in a whole other direction.
Right. So
I love that book too.
Yeah, the book's great, but I love the movie,
The book was like a hard R horror movie.
Well, I wouldn't even say hard R, but it was definitely more hardcore and violent.
Yeah.
Than
I mean to me, the Jurassic Park movie pushes up against a PG-13.
Yeah.
And that's all it was ever going to be, given the people involved, given that it's Spielberg, given that it was about selling toys and everything else. I think Spielberg bought the premise and then ran with it and went in a slightly different direction. I mean, it's still of a piece with the book, but Sean, I'm sure you're talking about characters like Hammond. Who's much more sinister, as I recall. I mean, I haven't read the book in a while.
The lawyer is a lot more heroic in the book.
He's like, Gennaro was like, they talked about how he was like a bodybuilder and he was strong and he lives. Yeah, and in the movie, he's like, big.
Well, and Ian Malcolm dies.
Yeah. Well, and then Michael Crichton conveniently wrote him back into the book.
He retconned him back to life, right?
He's like, well, I'm the author. Like, I ultimately can bring whoever I want.
Yeah, and
he died.
Go ahead, Sean.
No, I forget the character's name. The game warden guy.
Muldoon.
Yeah, Muldoon. He's
he lives too.
But there's that awesome sequence in the book where he's basically like
killing him,
drunk, and hucking, practically hucking like empty whiskey bottles at a T-Rex that's charging at him.
Yeah, and they get some kind of weapon. I can't remember what it was.
Right.
Like, it wasn't a shotgun. They had some kind of weapon where they were like exploding. I remember exploding velociraptors, which is not in the movie. And I remember going to the movie. I was like, I can't wait to see these velociraptors explode. Instead, I get a T-Rex that sneaks into a building and then throws them into some skeletons, which is just completely bogus. I don't try to tell you otherwise. I just watched it in 3D, and it was.
That's right.
What? I always loved that as a kid, but it's nonsense.
But it's good nonsense.
Yeah, dinosaurs fighting is such.
Everybody loves that T-Rex roar with the sign coming down, and that image must have been in Spielberg's head. He's like, this is going to be, it's like ironic.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, we get it, Spielberg, but you're telling me the T-Rex snuck in there. T-Rex.
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you say that. In the behind the scenes stuff, they actually talk about that. How the original ending of the movie wasn't. They didn't have the T-Rex. It was going to be that the raptors basically, like the statue. I mean, not the statue, but the bones like fall on the raptors and they get impaled on them, and that was the ending.
Another ending.
And and it was Spielberg's idea. He says, well, we should have the T-Rex come in and have it turn around where he kind of ends up being the hero at the end. and I forget who he tells this idea to, but it was one of the creatives, and he says, Paul, to your question, he says, well, how does he get in there? Right? How does he get in? And Spielberg, this is interesting.
Entrance.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, and Spielberg, like, this is the guy, and I wish I could remember who said it, but he's describing how Spielberg answered. He's like, oh, well, the raptor is going to be like jumping here, and then all of a sudden the Rex is there, like, pokes his head in. And the guy's like, Spielberg was only thinking in terms of constructing the frame, not the logistics of how it would even work. But the truth is, you don't think about it really until, like, way later.
Man, I thought about it back when I saw the movie as a kid.
Like, right away.
I was like, I mean, mostly because I had read the book twice before I saw the movie, and recently.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, well, and it felt like a cop-out to me in the theater, and I really enjoyed the movie. So let's be clear on that. I still enjoy the movie, but it's pretty bogus. It's pretty ridiculous. You could really pick it apart in terms of just as you said, logics. Or logistics. It's kind of a mess. It's an entertaining mess, but it's a mess.
The biggest thing that came to my mind, like now after watching it this time, is like, why didn't John Hammond just make one dinosaur and have everybody be like, "Holy shit, it's a dinosaur"? You know what I mean?
Freaking part. Like, oh no. We made everything.
Because think about it.
Hammond? No, we have every dinosaur. It's on the entire park.
We have like the most dangerous creatures that ever existed. Because everybody comes, like the first scene, right? They're like, "Holy crap, it's a brontosaurus! Amazing!" We're gonna if you're like, "Hey, we have a real life brontosaurus. We're gonna charge $500 to see the brontosaurus." People will be like, "Here's $1,000. I want to see it twice." They're not, they wouldn't be like it's cool and all, but where's the T-Rex? Nobody would say that.
Wow.
Anyway, moving on.
That really is pretty enlightening, to be quite honest.
That's true. It's like, how did that never occur to me before, But I am the taint. That's what I do. I ruin movies for people. So.
Well, I mean, that is the... If we're going to get into talking about Oblivion, I mean, it ties right into that in terms of what you're going to have to let go in terms of logistics.
Hold that thought. Yeah, we get to see Tom Cruise's taint in the movie, so hold on to that thought. We'll be getting there in just a second. But we are talking about new releases, but we'll have a little bit more of an in-depth talk about Oblivion in just a few minutes. But very quickly, I want to talk about 42, which is the Jackie Robinson story, which we discussed on an episode many moons ago, it feels like. Sean, I don't even remember when we talked about it.
Did we talk about it?
We talked about the trailer.
We talked about
the trailer, that's right. Paul, you have not seen 42.
And I never will.
And you... That's right. You don't intend to at any point.
Nope.
And the reason being that Paul, of course, is a racist. I don't know if you know that about Paul, but...
I'm actually a Harrison Fordist. No, I'm just kidding.
Lately many people are, which is kind of the problem.
I always love Harrison Ford.
I will always have love for Harrison Ford. That doesn't mean I will always love his movies. And the reason for that is I saw Hollywood Homicide and Firewall.
Firewall.
I saw one of those.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was... And I saw Desperate Measures recently also.
Why?
Because I was pissed off at myself. It was one of those days.
That's not Harrison Ford.
Desperate Measures? That's the one with Brendan Fraser, isn't it?
No, Desperate Measures is with Michael Keaton and Andy Garcia.
No. Well, that is Desperate Measures, but there was all... Oh, no, you know what? You're absolutely right. What's the Harrison Ford one? Hold on.
You're damn right. You just need to Paul IMD.
Paul
IMD.
Movie.
Paul's internet.
Paul MDB, PMDB.
Database.
Extraordinary Measures. It's the sequel to Desperate Measures. It's Extraordinary Measures. Desperate just wasn't enough.
Which one is that? I don't even know what the hell that is.
That's the one with
the doctor, right?
Harrison Ford as a doctor, and the movie's very boring, and it's...
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the one with Brendan Fraser. Yeah, okay, no.
It's Indiana Jones and Rick O'Connell.
Yeah.
It's Indy and O'Connell as they... And here's the depressing thing. That movie gives top billing to Brendan Fraser.
Ouch.
Yeah, which is a little bit of an out. So that was unfortunate. That was a few years ago. So Harrison Ford has been on a bit of a downward swing, I would say, for the past 10, 12 years or so. But 42, he was okay in, I thought. Even though it's a little bit too much of Harrison Ford trying not to seem like Harrison Ford and thus pointing attention to how he's not trying not to be Harrison Ford.
Right.
Do you think that's even possible now, though?
I don't think so.
It is not possible.
I think it's unavoidable. He'll never transcend the Indiana Jones Han Solo persona, even though he's been in plenty of great movies.
Yeah.
Aside from those, I think that at this stage in his life, he's an old man. He's in his 70s.
Yeah.
That's it. He's never going to go beyond that.
Well, he is in this. He is the equivalent of Chuck Heston in True Lies.
Ouch! That's not a compliment.
Does
he wear an eye patch?
He might have, but I mean, that's you watch True Lies, you're like, oh, it's Chuck Heston with an eye patch. What's he doing here? Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I mean, this wasn't meant as a positive or negative statement. I mean, that's kind of what he is, where his status as like an icon calls attention to itself. I don't think he can disappear into character parts. The weird thing about this movie is that it's fine. Like, that's people ask me, like, what did you think of it? I'm like, it's fine. and it's weird because I feel like a Grinch trying to get into what didn't work about it for me because, it's like, well, it's the story of Jackie Robinson. It's an amazing story, and he's an amazing individual, but the movie didn't do it for me. So why is that? Is it because I'm a bad person? You don't know what to make of it in that sense. And I feel like the movie suffers because it's kind of this Reader's Digest version of his story, and it hopscotches across his not even his life, really. It's like his time with the Dodgers. And it's very, you're meant to, by the end of it, be like, all right, racism is over now. I've done my part. I've watched the movie about the guy suffering through racism, and thus I've done my bit to fight racism. That's what it feels like. Which is a shame. I mean, I know, Sean, you were kind of looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I love baseball movies.
Yeah, and I which is weird for me. I love baseball movies. I don't love baseball. And
because you don't like America.
You are a great softball player, though. I've got pictures to prove it.
And just for listeners, yeah, Paul was saying that ironically. Irony is not necessarily conveyed via audio, but yes, I am. I am a scientific marvel when it comes to playing softball.
Scientific marvel.
Let's leave it at that. I don't do that.
Study.
When it
How
comes
is it that he cannot even swing the bat? I don't know. We need a hypothesis.
Or run, or catch, or stand.
He is amazing. He cannot do one thing right. It is amazing.
Yeah. I remember that well. I remember that very well. Thank you, Paul, by the way, for embarrassing my podcast audience. I appreciate that. Embarrassing me in front of my audience, I should say. It's embarrassing.
Hey, at least you can write.
That's true. I have been told I can write. So. Oh, he's saying that ironically too. Okay.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's my genuine. That's me making up for making you feel bad. Hurt your.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I'm gonna clear off these tears and move on to the other movie I didn't like, which I saw earlier this week, which is Pain and Gain. The new non-Transformers movie from Michael Bay. I don't know.
I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this.
I saw that. It's too bad. It really looks fun.
This is just me, but I read the story, the true story of what happened. Pain and Gain, for those of you who don't know, it's based on a true story that happened in the mid-'90s. There was this gang of bodybuilders who they're called the Sun Gym Gang. And they wanted more for themselves, so they kidnapped this guy and brutalized him for over a month, and they end up stealing everything he owns. They end up getting him to sign his house over to them and whatever, and then they, that wasn't enough, and so they end up murdering this other guy and his girlfriend. That's the story. And what ended up happening is they were caught by virtue of this private detective, and it ended up being the longest, most expensive prosecution in Florida history.
Wow.
And they went to jail and blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, Michael Bay reads that story, and he's like, oh, this has the makings of a comedy. I mean, I don't know what to say to that, you know? And so he makes this movie with these horrible, irredeemable asshole characters who we're not really expected to sympathize with, I don't think, but they are, you know, our primary points of interest in the movie for like the first hour, you know? And and then they kidnap this guy who's also not a great guy. He's played by Tony Shalhoub in the movie. He's not a great guy, but then the Son Jim gang, who are Mark Wahlberg and The Rock and Anthony Mackie, are also not good guys. So it's like we have bad guys torturing a bad guy.
But what about Ed Harris?
Okay, well, I'm glad
right?
you mentioned that. So Ed Harris does not show up until a little over an hour into the movie. A little over an hour. So it takes that long for us to have a character who we can actually root for. And literally, like, Ed Harris shows up, and I'm like, oh, thank Christ, Ed Harris. You know? And he coasts through this movie just being Ed Harris and being awesomely Ed Harris-y. I mean, he's that guy. You know, Ed Harris is Paul, did you see Game Change?
Yes, it's great.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, he's not even really being John McCain in that movie. He's just being Ed Harris, and you like him because he's just, you like Ed Harris.
Yeah.
And that's how he is in this movie. He was really good in that movie. Actually, he was fantastic in that movie. But in this, you know, he's just coasting through it, and he's great. But it takes more than an hour for us to have a character that we can feel good about, you know, having some feelings for. And I don't know. It's also very broadly comical, and I don't think that's what this movie necessarily needed. I just don't feel like. Oh, and the other thing, it's over 2 hours long.
Really?
Yeah, and it's a movie that should have been like 90 and out.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: does it
yes,
have the odd Michael Bay humor that's injected in like all of his other movies? Like, Michael Bay has this weird sense of humor that's like goofball, kind of like college frat boy level silly humor that never quite. It feels like they went out of their way to do something silly. It just feels like they're acting silly rather than natural.
Right. When Transformers pee on the guy, yeah.
Yeah, like silly stuff like that. Like, he seems to always inject, like, and that was my concern with Pain and Gain, even though I think it looks good from the trailers. But my concern was, is this like a 2-hour movie of just Michael Bay's weird humor? Is that the same thing that's going on here?
I would say so. Let me put it this way. I don't find, and I guess this is a spoiler, but I mean, the story's out there. It's a true story. There's a point in the movie when there are these two people that they've killed. And so they're trying to chop up the bodies via a chainsaw. And the thing keeps stopping up, and you've got blood spurting everywhere. And we're supposed to be laughing at this. And I'm like, well, this is horrifying. And then they chop off the hands and the feet, and they're trying to burn off the fingerprints. So you have The Rock's character barbecuing, like on a grill, their hands and feet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
And this is all.
That's really what happened.
That actually is what happened. That is absolutely true. And in fact, in the movie, at the moment they depict that, they do a freeze frame, and it says, "This is still a true story."
Weird.
Which I thought that was pretty clever. But I'm just like, it's playing it for laughs. That was I was like, you know what? I can laugh at a lot of very dark humor. That's totally fine. But at some point, I'm just like, this is not funny. You know, I don't find that funny at all, you know? And that was my beef with it. Like, I just felt like it asked us to go along with these characters and by proxy identify with them, which I wasn't able to do. That said,
I was hoping it was going to be more like it was going to be more like Bad Boys, just like cool action with comedy in it.
Not
We're
at all.
sort of relying on the chemistry of your lead characters.
It's not even remotely like Bad Boys, I would say. I will say, however, that The Rock is yet again just very just charismatic presence, man. I mean, the guy is fun to watch.
He's really pulled a turnaround.
Yeah.
He was sinking fast in his Disney shit.
Yeah,
And he's really pulled. I mean, I don't know if he had an awakening or an agent. It's like, hey, Dwayne, we need to talk for a minute, brother.
Shave your head, man.
Pretty much your core audience hates you now. You need to do something. That Tooth Fairy 2 that you're about to say yes to, no, forget that. We're going to give that to Larry the Cable Guy. We need you to go
That's right.
and hit the gym, take your shirt off, shave your head, grow a goatee, and star in everything. Roger that. Yes,
Now-
out this year. Yes, crazy.
Paul, speaking of The Rock, we're all three of us are big G.I. Joe fans. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe 2, that is. What did you think of it?
It was absolutely ridiculous, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was much better than the first one, but that's not saying too much because the first one was like Abyss level crap in terms of
Abyss, not
adapting-
like
Not
not
James
Abyss,
Cameron.
the movie Abyss.
No,
like,
no, nothing
deep
to do with
in an
James
abyss.
Cameron. Although it did have submersibles throughout the
It
entire
did.
thing.
That's true.
It's
There
ridiculous.
you go.
But in terms of, I think we've all wanted to see kind of a perfect mashup of the 80s cartoon and the comics.
Right.
Because I know we've all read the comics, which are substantially more darker and a little more violent than the cartoon. And I think we always wanted that perfect mashup to see it on film. Not to mention some of these costumes. You know, I know it's so hard to ask for somebody to have a colored costume. We can't just they all just need to be wear some kind of form of military gear that's blacked out or camouflage. But I thought the G.I. Joe Retaliation was fun. It was so much better than the first one, but it certainly didn't elevate the material per se. It was still pretty cheeky and silly, and just the plot is just so stupid. But
Right.
if you're
I didn't
comparing
mind
it to
that
the
part.
80s cartoon, it's perfectly in line with that kind of those kind of plots,
Which is why Sean liked
absolutely
it.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just world domination. That's all I wanted. I don't care about Cobra's agenda.
I wanted to see something that was a little smarter, a lot smarter, based on the work that Larry Hammond did on the books. I don't feel that they captured any of that, to be quite honest. I felt that they did a much better job. They had the characters in, but why can't Flint wear a beret? Why
I was
can't
wondering-
Now,
I was wondering
Paul,
what your thoughts were, yeah.
your favorite G.I. Joe character is Flint.
Yes.
So much so that you even named your son in honor of Flint.
Yes, after
which
Flint's real name, which is Dashiell Fairborn. My son's name is
Which is
Dashiell.
that's dedication, because
It really is. Well,
when
it's
when
a
my
cool name to begin with, but
It
at
is a
the
cool
same
name.
time, it just happens to be the name of my favorite G.I. Joe. So it's like, man, look at that. That's the best thing about having kids, man. You can name whatever the hell you want.
Well, when we were expecting our first, my wife, like, before I even brought it up, she's like, "We're not naming him Kal-El. Not a chance. No
Like
way,
that
no
guy.
how." But now Flint is your favorite character. What did you think of his portrayal in the movie?
That's not good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not DJ Catrona's fault. I don't blame him. They just didn't give him anything to do.
Yeah.
He had that one scene between him and Lady J, which was just so half-handed. Like the emotional scenes. I don't need like tearjerker moments from G.I. Joe, but a little bit of characterization that goes beyond the stereotypical hogwash. Lady J, my dad didn't want me to join the army. Oh, it's too bad. You're really hot. I like you. I think you're still a hero. It's like, come on,
I
really?
agree.
That's the best you could do. There's like hundreds of comic book issues that you could thumb through and find more emotion than that.
There was no reason to call him Flint, except
Exactly.
for the fact that Lady J's in the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
there was no, and Flint has always had kind of a, that go-getter demeanor, and he's kind of an asshole, very arrogant. You know what I'm saying? And but in the end, somebody that knows his tactics and everything always proves himself to be, worth his medal in terms of his arrogance. And none
Right.
of that was there. He was very much just kind of like, I'm
Just a dude.
I'm a soldier, man. And he had some fairly decent action sequences, but he didn't stand out.
Yeah.
And why can he wear a beret? Tell me, somebody. John Chu, where are you?
Well, he wears one at the end.
Yeah, they're all wearing a beret.
All right, so moving on, we have a new release out right now, which Paul has seen and I have seen. Sean, you have not, so you can decide.
Sean will have his report in 6 months.
Yeah, that's right. Oblivion, the new Tom Cruise movie starring Tom Cruise, directed by Joseph Kosinski. This is his sophomore effort after rebooting Tron. Now,
I should just say my piece and get it out of the way since it has nothing.
Please do.
I think the soundtrack is pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I would agree with that. I think all three of us will agree on that, but I think that's where agreement may end as far as this one. I think, Paul, you liked it a little bit more than I did.
I haven't read your full review, just your overall. Did you post your review?
Not yet.
Okay.
It'll be probably by the time people are listening to this, it will be up there. So, let me offer my take first, and we can jump in here. I was extremely impressed with the visualization of the world. I think the special effects are fantastic. I think Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. He's pretty much as he's about as sure a thing as you can expect in terms of the performance he's going to give. You know, he's extraordinarily consistent.
Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion is I felt like it started off a lot more intriguing than the payoff was. And I felt like by the end of the movie, it became sort of this pastiche of a whole bunch of very similar post-apocalyptic type movies, and so that felt a little bit lacking in that department. And I definitely don't want to get into spoilers because there are several twists that are embedded throughout. But Paul, I know that you liked it a lot more than I did.
Well, potentially. I actually agree with everything you just said. And I do have issues with the film. It's not a perfect film,
Yeah.
but I think overall what it is a perfectly satisfying and entertaining entry into the sci-fi genre. And I think that it's suffered a lot of backlash in terms of, oh, well, it's just like this, it's just like that, it's just like this. And it's like, well, the sci-fi genre has been around for a long time, and while Oblivion may not be, revolutionary, why does it have to be?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's perfectly satisfactory in every other sense, and even exceeds it in the visual department. And again, Tom Cruise, Mr. Reliable, the guy just delivers, and that's always it's great to have that. And of course, the score by M83, Joe Trapanese, and Anthony Gonzalez is amazing, and that elevates the material beyond what it could have been. Like, say, if you had James Newton Howard score the movie, it would have been perfectly fine, but it wouldn't have done anything for the film. Even as good as Howard can be, it would have been another. It's just another James Newton Howard score.
Green Lantern.
But I think Kosinski's his audio detail, his attention to that, just like he demonstrated with Tron Legacy by using Daft Punk and also Joe Trapanese, again, took the material to a whole nother level beyond what it could have been. So ultimately you have a lot of great things going for Oblivion that supersede the shade comparisons of other sci-fi movies. Although one comparison to the sci-fi movie Moon, which I have not seen, was brought up.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't seen it, and that was kind of one of the arguments, that it was kind of like a blatant ripoff. But I haven't seen the movie.
I would agree with that, yeah. I didn't think about that until you brought it up, but I would agree with that, yeah.
But yeah, there's definite issues, and I know we don't want to get into spoilers, but there were issues I had, and I'll just touch real quick. The human element I felt was lacking in the movie.
Totally.
And with Tom Cruise's Jack Harper being the human that we're supposed to identify with, and then we have the scabs, which are the human characters on Earth.
Right.
I felt that we didn't get to know any of them or care about them beyond Morgan Freeman and the perfectly wasted Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Right. Who from Game of Thrones.
Right. And great actor, and they're just like, we got him.
Well, Morgan Freeman might as well have been playing Morgan Freeman. Because
fine.
I mean, but they basically wheel him out there to be like, hello, Tom Cruise, I'm Morgan Freeman, and The world is
I'm
over
more.
now.
I'm
Yeah,
Morgan
right.
Freeman.
More Freeman.
I'm Morgan.
Right. And you know you I mean, in all honesty, the parallels to the Matrix were almost distracting for me because
I
I
never
did.
got that.
I felt like there was a. I mean, you know, and again, I'm trying to tread lightly here, but there's a moment near at the end where there's this big battle sequence, which might as well have been Zion under siege by Sentinels. It was trading in that same iconography. And one thing that I will say, I think having seen now 2 of Kosinski's movies, I feel like this film to me amplified some of what I felt were problems with Tron Legacy. And Tron Legacy we've talked about before. I think that's a movie that I liked a lot more than a lot of people. I know, Sean, I liked it a lot more than you did. And I realize, I think part of the reason I liked Tron Legacy more is because I have that fondness for the first film. So I was able to plug in my knowledge of the characters and that world into the whatever gaps there were in Tron Legacy. And Sean, you don't have that kinship for the Tron universe, or you didn't at the time, so it wasn't the same experience for you. I feel like with Oblivion, it's kind of that, where Kosinski is amazing when it comes to visualizing the world.
Yeah.
I think his gap is in humanizing the world, and I think, Paul, you would agree with that.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's kind of an almost a joyless affair in terms of the human aspect. It's like a very cold sci-fi, but I also think that's a strength to the genre itself, because sci-fi is traditionally kind of like that in a sense, you know.
Sure.
And Kosinski shoots very refined, very, he's very straight line, very, he follows a pattern. Everything is very purposeful in the way he shoots and puts things together. And honestly, I think I love that about his style, but at the same time, I think he needs to loosen up a little bit, because everything is very tight and concise. Yeah. And I think that translates over to the human performances. Yeah. And even, there's an emotional scene between Tom Cruise and Olga Kurylenko at the end. And I felt that even that was it felt forced. Even though the actors were pulling it off, I felt like I'm still not getting the human connection here with that. And I felt that it just wasn't working.
I feel like part of that is I just don't feel like those two had any chemistry together.
But they had hardly any opportunity or scenes to build that. I think that's the problem.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's what was missing.
I wonder if she's a strong enough actor to give that with the, I mean, I haven't really been impressed with anything I've seen her in.
I gotta be honest, she has surprised me, because I've kind of wrote her off. She's just a
Bond girl.
hot chick Bond girl. But I saw her in Seven Psychopaths and in Oblivion, and then what else was she in?
She's in To the Wonder. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen. I'm never going to see that. And then I have a screensaver, so I don't need to watch To the Wonder. What was the other one she was in? Centurion, which I really enjoyed. Very underrated flick. Anyways, she impresses me more than. And I'm more impressed that she continues to work, because most Bond girls don't.
I have that written in my notes here. I'm amazed she just has a great agent, because
seriously,
Denise Richards is a reality show on E, but Olga Kurylenko,
what you guys are saying is, sorry, I just want to chime in. What you guys are saying is really kind of interesting. I've never thought of Joe Kosinski as being any like a master actor's director, because he comes from a music video background,
from a design background too. Right?
Yeah, he's like an architect.
Yeah, so he's very much a visual guy, and my big problem with Tron Legacy was that I just didn't care about any of the characters. Everything felt very sort of stale and cardboard. All the performances, all the just everything about it. But when I had an opportunity to go see part of the soundtrack being recorded for this movie, they showed basically the end of the movie, where you, not trying to give too much away to the audience, but it's where you find out the fate of Tom Cruise in this movie. And just watching the visuals and not having any of the audio from their performance or anything like that, And I'm watching this, and I'm like, this looks like the ending of a movie that I really want to see. Like this, like just this, the imagery and everything that he's captured here with this awesome soundtrack. Like this ending of a movie that I haven't seen yet kicks ass, and I really want to see it. And with Tom Cruise, like he's pretty smart about, it seems like he chooses his directors with the movies he does now. So it's just interesting that he would pick, a guy like Kaczynski who, obviously doesn't really have a knack for bringing out the best performances in people.
Well, I think with Cruise, he is somebody that he generally loves movies. I think that there's certain actors out there, I hear it all the time, like, I don't even watch my performances, I don't even watch my movies. But I think Cruise, he's really about the experience of you seeing the movie. And that's why, and I've heard him in many, many interviews where he talks about the reason why he does his stunts all the time is he respects the audience. And he knows that when you're watching and you see the guy swing it across, the Kobar Tower and stuff, you're looking to see if that's him. Yeah. Whoever's in that role. And
the Burj Khalifa, by the way, not the Kobar Tower.
Sorry, my bad. But you're looking for the actor's face, and we've all seen it. We're like, that's not him. Who's that? You can see like the wig fighting, just like.
Well, he also knows that if he falls, Lord Xenu will catch him. And,
exactly.
He's got that. Oh God, we're gonna get sued by the Scientologists.
Man.
It's gonna, folks. It's been a good run with this podcast, but it had to end somewhere. Okay,
we should all say something nice about Brian.
What, is he a Scientologist?
I don't know. He's not here. Let's just say something nice about him.
Brian could also do his own stunts if he wanted to.
I like his shoes. Brian's got cool shoes.
He really does have a good part in his hair. It's a good part.
Brian smells like lilac.
Wow.
Weird.
Moving on.
Okay. Moving on from that awkward spot, we move on to another awkward spot, which is a little bit. Normally, we don't do gossip here in Hollywood headlines. We try to keep it focused on movies, but this is a story that's been breaking. It's been breaking slowly over the past 6 months, but at this point, it's extra broken, and that's the sad state of Amanda Bynes, who is, of course, former Nickelodeon star and current train wreck. And have you guys seen what's been going on with her?
Unfortunately, I have.
Now, the point of now clearly something's going on. She's clearly in need of help, possibly psychiatric. So I don't want it to seem like we're tossing fruit at her and making sport. But I did want to get into a little bit of this. First of all, for context, Amanda Bynes, very successful in the 90s. She starred on The Amanda Show, which was a spinoff of all that. She segued into young adult stardom in movies. She was in Hairspray, I believe, the remake of Hairspray. She was on a sitcom. She had success for quite a while, and she was kind of one of these examples of a child star who segued into adult stardom and seemed to do okay. The anti-Lindsay Lohan, if you will, because as we know, we've been watching Lindsay Lohan slowly descent into death, one presumes, for the past few years. And then over the past 6 months, we've seen Amanda Bynes slowly going crazy, tweeting all kinds of ridiculously inappropriate stuff, which I won't say here, and then posting some bizarre videos and just not well. So the question I have is not so much what the hell is wrong with Amanda Bynes, because that's up to a psychologist, but is this inevitable as a young person in Hollywood?
No.
I've completely stopped paying attention to what you're talking about.
Well, Paul, what do you think?
I think that Amanda Bynes makes Lindsay Lohan look like Jennifer Lawrence these days.
Why is that?
Well, I just think some people can't handle the lifestyle of Hollywood, and I think that she has, coupled with, obviously, she has some type of mental disorder. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. But
you can tell just from looking at her.
But I deal with people enough on a daily basis to know when I would say, this person needs help, or I'm going to just go ahead and stay away from this individual. When you run into certain people, you know what I'm saying? Like, this person's not right. I'm gonna go and stay away from her.
Yeah.
And I think that's her. I think that her problem is she had that early success.
Right.
And you think about the Hollywood way of life where everybody's telling you you're so great and blah, 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 and blowing smoke up your ass on a regular basis. And you start to believe your own press. And I think with her, she's had it very difficult fitting in with the Hollywood elite because she's not a good actress. She's not. I mean, we could say that, right? I mean, she's adequate in terms of like doing the cutesy little romantic comedy movies that she was in.
She was great in Cody Banks.
Yeah.
Or whatever she was in.
She's never going to take home anything, any statue made of gold.
Right.
And it's just she hasn't proven that metal, and I think that she's had a very difficult time finding an identity in Hollywood. The absolute best course of action for Amanda Bynes would be to leave Hollywood and never go back. But unfortunately, she's for whatever reason, the people that her family or whatever or whatnot, if she has, I don't have any idea what kind of support she has, but anybody that cares about her obviously doesn't care enough to really push her to get the hell out of Hollywood. She needs to go move to like the Midwest somewhere and get a job at Best Buy or something, or go to college, do something with her life, rather than place really awkward, videos on Twitter of her.
Yeah. The latest video is her like sucking her cheeks in and doing it. Was this bizarre. Somebody sent it to me and they were just like, "You got to see this," and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" It's
like an ad for like a transsexual in Las Vegas.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what it looked like. Yeah, I think of the example of, for example, just like completely opposite is somebody like a George Clooney, who spent years and years in the trenches paying his dues. And he didn't get a taste of real success until he was in his mid to late 30s.
Right.
One fine day.
After that, will his star stop rising?
Paul loves that movie.
I really do, but I recognize that it's terrible.
Is that the one with Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Michelle Pfeiffer.
No, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
It's really cutesy, fun little movie, but yeah, it's not great.
But that wasn't his first movie, was it, or was it? Or was Peacemaker?
Yeah, no, that was his first. Peacemaker was his first action flick.
One was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Maybe it was From Dusk Till Dawn.
Paul, you should know that.
From Dusk.
No, it was Peacemaker came first.
Okay.
Somebody hit IMDb.
Yeah. I don't care enough to look that up.
I don't care enough to. You guys figure it out.
I think
but I mean, somebody like Clooney, that success came a little bit later, so there was that more of that awareness of how fleeting it can be.
Sure.
I think with the kid actors, and I've obviously saw some of this firsthand, like with Nickelodeon and
a child actor.
No. But like with
Sean
like
is a former cast member of Mickey Mouse Club.
Well, I mean that's the thing. Like Nickelodeon, Disney, you sort of see like they all have this assembly line of these young, attractive people that all look exactly the same. That are like they're the hot thing for a year or two, and then like you guys are talking about, like they basically have the world handed to them, and are filled with all these false promises, like, oh my God, you're going to be such a huge star, you're the next big thing, and then when they're 18 and not so cute anymore, like they just sort of shove them aside and bring in the next crop of hot young things, and
it's like, how do you deal with that?
Like when you think about it that way, it's kind of like there is that sort of evil, I guess, aspect of Hollywood. Yeah, because they're trying to make a buck off these kids.
Sure. Absolutely.
Well, I hear all the time here locally. I hear from students all the time who see Ben Savage, because my understanding is that Ben Savage is a Bay Area local, and they're always like, "Man, what a the guy." It's like he's just riding on his fame as Corey Matthews.
He might be looking for you, Zaki. You said some pretty mean things about him on an earlier episode.
About Ben Savage? Did I really?
Yeah.
See, I don't even remember.
You just said he got like weirder looking or uglier. As he
did.
Older.
He went from cute little kid to ugly, awkward man child.
See,
by the end of this,
he's looking for you.
He's going to seek me out. But it's like, he's probably the happiest person on earth that he gets to play Corey Matthews again now, because
he's
it's been
the only
like
one because nobody else cares.
You weren't on Facebook like 2 months ago, Paul. People imploded. talking about including here. We've spent like 2 episodes talking about that.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, we're very excited about Girl Meets World.
Yeah, we just tricked you. You don't listen to our show, Paul.
I definitely
Ejector
didn't listen
seat.
to that episode.
So Amanda Bynes clearly needs help. So if she wants to come on this show and talk about it, maybe we can stage some kind of an intervention.
No.
See
Do
how
not
that goes.
invite me on that show.
Moving on, we do have some new trailers to discuss. First up, let's talk about the new Lone Ranger trailer, which is, we talked about the teaser a few weeks ago, but this is now the full-length trailer. Let's play some of that, please.
If we ride together, we ride for justice. Justice is what I seek. Let's do this. We're looking for a man.
It was in about a week ago. Page me with this.
You find traitor. You find the man who killed your brother.
I want to show you something.
What could you buy with all that?
A country, Captain.
Who controls the railroad, the cavalry, everything. If these men represent the law, I'd rather be an outlaw.
That is why you wear the mask.
Okay, Sean,
Yes.
are you familiar with the Lone Ranger? Did you grow up with the Lone Ranger?
I didn't grow up with it per se. I do remember it quite well. Like, I remember it used to be one of those shows that was on at like 5:30 in the morning.
Sure.
You know, like an hour before the Bozo show.
Right. So you have like a vague awareness of the Lone Ranger as a concept. You're not a fan necessarily.
No, but...
So what is your interest level in this movie based on this trailer?
I don't know. I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was looking through the slate of summer movies, and it's like for a movie, for a season, it just feels like it's packed with all this great stuff. Like, you really pay attention to the list, and it's like there's only really like 3 or 4 movies that I'm excited about, and unfortunately Lone Ranger is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that it's not going to be a good movie. I mean, Gore Verbinski is capable of doing good work, and Johnny Depp is always, he's got the Tom Cruise factor. He's always, pretty
Watchable.
reliable and pretty watchable, entertaining.
Well,
But I don't care about this for some reason.
Paul, what do you think?
I'm kind of on the opposite spectrum. I did grow up with the Lone Ranger. I have a picture of me dressed as the Lone Ranger as a kid for Halloween, and I grew up watching the Legend of the Lone Ranger, the '80s movie.
The movie.
It was a very big...
With starring, I'm going to pull this from memory, Clinton Spilsbury.
All right.
Yeah.
Take your word for it.
His one and only screen credit, I believe. Clinton Spilsbury. And Christopher Lloyd is the villain in that.
Yes, that's true. I really enjoyed it as a kid. It was, kind of one of those staple movies that I watched over and over again. And I really loved the lore and the mythology of the character. And it was just really cool to me. And it definitely has shaped my perception of the heroic ideal in my own stories and then stories that I see. So I think that it's kind of underappreciated for this generation because they're just not aware. But I think that it really helps shape a lot of the heroic characters that have developed since then.
Sure.
And just like Sean said, Gore Verbinski he's a great director. He's got a refined style, much like Kaczynski, but he's a little more loose and fun, and he can bring that human aspect in there, that you can kind of laugh and have a good time with.
Right.
And based on this trailer and also the international trailer that was released just after this final one, you see some of that, the Pirates of the Caribbean feel of like the kind of the goofier humor and funner stuff that's in there.
Now, are you a fan of those movies, Paul?
I am. I don't love them. But actually, I mean, I do like them. I don't rewatch them, or I'm not like, oh man, now's the time to watch Pirates of the Caribbean. But I really appreciated them, and I think more than anything, I appreciated Gore Verbinski and Johnny Depp, which are two of the bigger assets for the Lone Ranger. That's a great duo. Like, they really work well together. And 15 years ago, Johnny Depp, he would never be a leading man for a movie like this.
Right.
And his stock grew with the Jack Sparrow character, and I think that this just fits his mold best. Johnny Depp as, say, a John McClane doesn't work. He's tried it. Just it doesn't work. This is the kind of
Nick of Time.
role,
Remember Nick of Time?
trying to forget it. That was awful. And it wasn't necessarily his fault. He's not made for that kind of movie, you know?
Right.
He fits these kind of odd characters best. That's what he spent his entire career playing. And Tonto it looks perfectly consistent with his repertoire. But overall, the Lone Ranger looks cool. It looks fun to me. It's $200-something million up on screen. You know, hopefully it's not a bust for them. And I think a lot of, like what Sean said, seems to be kind of the residual emotion to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like on the stories I've written about on Joe Blow, you know, we look at, you know, counts and how many people have come on and looked at the stories and commented, and it just gets almost no buzz. And most people are feeling like, whatever. You know, for me, I feel opposite. I'm like, man, this has potential to be really great and really cool, and you know, kind of bring the Lone Ranger to audiences. But I just don't think audiences care. In terms of the trailer looks great. Trailer looks fun. I think it really sells it well. But I just don't think that it's connecting with the young audiences.
I hope it would. I hope it does really well, because I want to see some new life pumped into the Western genre. I would love to see more, you know, big budget Western movies out there.
And I think this is perfectly would be fun, you know, in that vein, you know, but, you know, I think a lot of people, like, they don't know what to expect with the Western anymore because it's not such a popular genre, you know, but I'm certainly not expecting, you know, Unforgiven level darkness. This is supposed to be fun and cool.
I think this movie is being sold entirely on Johnny Depp's back.
Yeah.
So,
why wouldn't it be, though?
Well, no, I mean, that's not a critique. I mean, that's because it doesn't really have anything else to sell it. And to an extent, it's the same scenario as Dark Shadows last summer, where you know, I mean, and that one turned out not to be as successful, at least domestically. I don't know how it did overseas, but the Lone Ranger. I mean, I'm with you, Paul, to the extent I don't have that many memories of the movie. With the Clinton Spilsbury movie, but I did watch the animated show when I was a kid. There was a cartoon, a Lone Ranger cartoon show in the 70s from Filmation, and it had William Conrad, a.k.a. the Fat Man from Jake and the Fat Man, as the voice of the Lone Ranger. He was the voice of the Lone Ranger on that show, and I remember that very clearly. Like, as a kid in Saudi Arabia, they used to show that, so I was a big fan of that show. But you realize now that, even though, you know, I think the Lone Ranger is to some extent beset by the same problem as John Carter, which is that he led to all these other characters, but we're more familiar with all these other characters.
No, I agree. That builds perfectly on what I was saying before. Is that, you know, it's this he's so old, which just sounds crazy, but he's like so old at this point that, you know, kids, you know, today, the audience, like your 16 to, you know, 22 audience, they don't even know who the hell the Lone Ranger is. They probably can't even tell you what he looks like.
That's absolutely true. Yeah.
But it's, you think about the people that are directing and writing movies today, like kind of the older generation, they grew up on Lone Ranger, you know. So for them, like probably guys like Gore Verbinski, like, oh man, I love Lone Ranger, you know. But you know, he grew up in a totally different era. So it is just as you said. I mean, it is a tough sell for, and it will be completely underappreciated by this younger generation. And it's not their fault. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, it's to some extent, you know, they were talking, I don't know if it's going to happen now, but they were talking about doing a new Tarzan movie.
That's on hold now.
It was going to be with Alexander Skarsgård, I think, right?
Yep. David Yates directing it.
That's okay. So the issue with that is, in 2013, does anyone care about a Tarzan movie?
No.
Yeah, I mean, what's his power? Oh, well, he's like, wears this loincloth and he lives in the jungle. Does he like turn into a panther or something? No, but he like fights panthers. Okay. You know, I think that's the issue with the Lone Ranger to some extent, where it's like, oh, well, what does he do? It's like he wears this mask and, you know, he has like a silver gun, you know. Like, it's a hard sell because we're just used to more. And unlike the character we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, the Lone Ranger hasn't been a continuous presence in pop culture.
Nope.
So I mean, you were talking about how people don't know him. I mean, I deal with the target demo for this movie every day, and they straight up are like, who is the Lone Ranger? So is Johnny Depp playing the Lone Ranger? Like, what is that? You know what I mean?
They never say. You know what? That's a good point because they never really say.
Nope.
Who I mean, if you have half a brain, you can see that he's wearing the Ranger badge.
Right.
You would think, okay, he's the Lone, but they never say who is who. They never say Johnny Depp is Tonto.
Yeah.
Not once. I don't think they've ever said.
Yeah, well, because the way it's being sold is Johnny Depp and Army Hammer.
Oh yeah, he's.
You know what's
part
funny?
of the banner.
Right before I left Disney, there was a friend of mine at work there that didn't know that the actor's name was Army Hammer. So when they saw the trailer, we were just talking about it, and they were like, why did it show the words Army Hammer? Like, what does that mean? I'm like, that's
you
the
just
guy's
smack him right in the face, right?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
guy's name was playing Lone Ranger. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. It's not a good point or anything, but like, it's kind of interesting. I wonder how many other people out there, because Army Hammer is not a household name like Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
So it's like when you actually show the words, like Johnny Depp, Army Hammer. You're like,
Well,
what?
it's like having a bigger star as Robin than Batman.
Right.
And you know what I mean? It's like selling it that way. It's like if you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robin in the next Batman, but you have some unknown as Batman. You would sell it based on Joseph Gordon-Levitt's name.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just odd. I don't know. I'm in all honesty, I'm with Paul. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it does well. But they spent $215 million on this movie, and
They're in trouble.
I think that I agree. I don't see how they make that back domestically. I just don't think that's going to happen.
You got to think about
International.
I don't know if you guys. I mean, the last piece that I wrote on
international is more and
Hollywood,
more important. Yeah.
International box office has completely devastated domestic box office. It's no longer about domestic.
Okay.
Your worldwide box office has completely taken over domestic. It's making more than domestic. So when you get to that point, it's no longer domestic. Yeah, it counts, but at the same time, if you're making, all of that, the budget plus like 200-300 more million overseas, forget about it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the thing
That's
is, Johnny
That is a good point.
Depp, along with say Tom Cruise,
Right.
huge overseas, huge, and we don't have any idea because we don't live over there. We don't travel there regularly, but they're huge, and they can pull in the mega bucks. And I guarantee you, even if Lone Ranger doesn't do well domestically, it's going to do at least decent, if not awesome, box office overseas. And I think the other thing is that the Pirates of the Caribbean pedigree may well translate to the younger audience. We may just not see it right now. I think like the younger kids may already be sold just on that alone. I'm talking like the younger audiences that grew up with the Pirates movies. They may be already like, well, maybe it's another Pirates. And I think that's probably what Bruckheimer and Disney are hoping for.
Right.
But we'll see. If it's it could either be great or this year's John Carter. Who knows?
I love how that's the threat that hangs heavy in the air. Like, you're going to be John Carter. Are you sure?
And you know what? If John Carter had starred Johnny Depp, it would have been huge.
I totally agree. Totally agree, yeah. Also, another trailer came out this week for a little micro-budget indie movie that might get a few eyeballs in the middle of the summer. We're talking, of course, about Man of Steel.
That? See what he did there?
Let's play a little bit of the audio from that.
What if a child dreamed of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspired to something greater?
My son was in the bus. He saw what Clark did.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
Can I just keep pretending I'm your son?
You are my son.
Okay.
Yes.
So I've watched this trailer like 5 zillion times already. That's an actual figure.
At least daily.
Yeah.
I there's like so many bits and pieces that I want to talk about. But general reactions, starting with you, Sean.
My first reaction was wanting to know desperately whether or not that's the Hans Zimmer music.
Yes.
And it is the theme. We talked about this last time. Yeah, it is in fact the new Superman theme.
I thought the music kicked ass.
It fit it perfectly, definitely.
Oh man, I can't wait for the soundtrack. I'm super stoked for this movie, and
no pun intended.
The only thing I'm going to nitpick about, and this is maybe just because I feel, because there's like nothing bad to say about it, but I want to criticize something. Like I was so completely swept away by the trailer. I was so into it, and then they show Michael Shannon, who I got no problem with Michael Shannon, but it's just like it reminded me like, oh right, Zod's the villain in this movie. That's kind of boring. Like that's the one thing that I've always been critical about in all the Superman movies is that I want bigger, badder, better Superman villains. Mm-hmm. I'm tired.
You want a superhero villain?
Yeah, I'm tired.
Or
of
a super
Zod.
villain.
But I mean, granted, it looks like it makes total sense because there's a lot of stuff about war on Krypton and all that kind of stuff that I'm sure his presence makes sense with the story that they're going to tell. Yeah. But I'm just I don't know. I want to see somebody else.
Okay. Well, one assumes that the sequel they'll trot out Lex Luthor, so you'll get to see Lex Luthor in the next one, which I'm sure you're very excited about. Paul, you're a fairly big Superman fan. I'm going to stake my claim as the Superman fan with a capital T.
You own it.
So, but I know that you watched all of Smallville.
Yep, I have tons of Superman comics, read sporadically through the years.
So when I first heard that this movie was being made, and they announced the plot synopsis either just before Smallville ended or immediately after, and it's like young Clark Kent travels the world trying to find his identity, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We've been through 10 years of this. And here we go again. I was like, do we need to see yet another Superman origin? Come on. And this trailer wiped away every single concern I had along those lines. It fully justified exactly why they are doing this story this way yet again.
Well, it looks like they're pulling straight from Birthright, which I'm sure you've read.
At least parts of it. Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Okay. Well, Birthright looks... I got to be honest. I mean, it really looks like Snyder and them, and possibly David Goyer, pulled heavily from Birthright, which was, I believe,
Birthright. But
Mark Waid.
Just to contextualize, it's by Mark Waid and
Lionel Yu.
Lionel Yu, thank you. And it was 2003, 2004. It was a new version of Superman's origin that DC did, and this was just as Smallville was starting.
And it is a cover-to-cover origin story. Exactly. There's no branch-off book or anything. It's a perfectly self-contained, limited series that gives you the whole origin, almost like a Secret Origins thing. But even down to the production design, pulling from Lionel Yu's art, looks very similar in Man of Steel. Mm-hmm. So it really, really does look like they pulled heavily from that. And I don't have any problem with that. It's a very strong, very cool story, and it looks very consistent with that. And I think it is a great direction to choose because we already had the one masturbatory sequel from Bryan Singer in Superman Returns, which is just, in my opinion, is a waste in every possible way you could, define waste.
Yeah. Yeah. No
There's so much that could have been done with that, and it was. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole.
You know what's funny, Paul, is I think that you and I both wrote reviews at the time that movie came out, and we were both kind of like, it's okay. We were kind of being apologistic. And first of all, I have never revisited it in, the 7 years or however long it's been. But that really is an example of one of those movies that you learn to hate more and more as time goes by.
I don't care what Quentin Tarantino says. That movie is boring. It brings nothing to the table. And it's just, again, it's such a wasted opportunity of a film. There's so much that you could have done, and they did none of it. Like, just because you had a bullet bounce off Superman's eye doesn't mean that you redefined the genre or did anything original. I mean, it is, you spend 2.5 hours to watch Superman throw a rock into space. That is not a payoff. You
know what's funny, Paul, is the first time I saw that movie was up in Alaska when I was visiting, I remember going to see it and thinking like, oh, this is so awesome. Like, I'm up here hanging out with Paul and we're going to see a Superman movie. And when it was over, I was really, really scared to admit that I didn't like it.
Like, Paul's going to punch me right in the face.
Because you weren't like raving about it, but you were just like, yeah, I appreciated this part and this part. And I kind of like this. And I was just kind of like, I didn't like it. This is stupid.
That's so funny.
It's a stupid movie. Don't hate me.
I hated it.
It's hilarious.
That's so true. I mean, you have one sequence in the entire movie, which is the airplane sequence.
Right.
And then it never, ever gets anywhere close to that level.
The airplane which he leaves in the baseball diamond and then takes off.
Like, sorry about that. You guys got a crew. Like, Superman, you can just pick it up. Yeah, I got an appointment. You guys
Screw you guys. Smell you later.
Superheroes really are dicks.
That's how it is. I think this reboot is necessary to sort of exorcise that ghost and to wipe clean. Because I was having this conversation with somebody. It feels almost like after, Christopher Reeve has become kind of like sainted almost, and it's almost like people were unsure how to proceed, like how to carry Superman forward without Christopher Reeve.
Right.
Like, it's like, by rebooting, are we doing him a disservice? It's almost like that, and that's what Superman Returns feels a little like. It's like, well, we have to preserve, the Christopher Reeve version,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, because it even affected the comic books a little bit, where for allowing Superman to look like Christopher Reeve, and this is after he'd passed away. It was, it was very weird. It was this kind of, it felt like, taxidermy or something. They're, trying to keep that alive. And actually, to your point, Paul, I did read an interview with Goyer, and Goyer actually wrote the introduction to Secret Origin, which is the version of Superman's origin from a couple of years ago that Jeff Johns wrote. With Gary Frank, and he, you can definitely see an influence from that also in just in the trailer here. Specifically, there's a dialogue exchange between young Clark Kent and Jonathan Kent, who's played by Kevin Costner, where he says, "Can't I just pretend? Can't I just keep pretending that I'm your son?" And he says, "You are my son." I thought it was a great, really emotional moment.
Yes,
but that's straight
my wife
out of.
keeps reminding me of that moment.
Your wife keeps reminding you of that moment.
Yeah, I mentioned to her, I was like, anytime you mention any kind of emotional connection to a superhero movie to your spouse, especially being the nerds that we are, you immediately get the full tilt nastiness coming your way. So now it's held over my head anytime I mention Man of Steel. Is now, are you going to cry? Because I mentioned how emotional I said that just that one line was where Kevin Costner just like nails it. You just,
his voice cracks just a little bit.
And my wife's like, "Oh, you're going to cry. It's Superman." So now anytime you mention Man of Steel, I get equated to being a babbling baby crying over my superhero.
Well, that moment is pretty much right out of that comic. So we see them pulling from a lot of different places. The other thing, as far as the aesthetic of Krypton, seems to owe a little bit to, or we there's some synergy with the current version of Krypton via the DC Comics reboot that they did in 2011. So they're pulling from a lot of sources. I'm just, I've got this haze in my head as I try to think of the specific moments that really jumped out at me. Henry Cavill really won me over with some of the stuff we get to see him do.
Henry Cavill won me over with Immortals. Watching Immortals, I was like, this guy is going to nail Superman.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that movie. Still haven't seen it.
I absolutely love it. It's clearly underrated, but...
And I own it. I bought the Blu-ray. It's been sitting in my cabinet for like 2 years now, or however long.
I love it. It's it's style over substance, and it's just a lot of fun. But more than anything, Cavill shows was like, wow, this guy can be an action star, hero, perfectly suited for Superman. And what I was seeing, I watched the trailer because I watch at least once a day at this point. And I watched it yesterday. When I was watching it yesterday, I was like, I started making the Tom Welling connection from Smallville. I was like, he really does have a strong resemblance to Tom
Totally
Welling.
agree. Oh,
He
yeah.
looks a lot like a older Tom Welling. It's almost like a perfect transition from Smallville to Man of Steel, even though they're covering old ground.
Yeah.
I think it's a great transition. I think they've stayed consistent in terms of, you know, the Superman, Clark Kent overall characteristics and look, minus the curl, which is fine. It doesn't bother me. And it doesn't bother me he's not wearing red underoos either. In fact, I think he would probably look kind of silly, just like Batman would look silly wearing blue undies. And then, I mean, nobody wears the undies in the comics anymore either. So they've changed it, and honestly, I think for the better. You know.
Well, I gotta say, I prefer his suit in this movie to the one that they have him wearing in the comics right now.
Yeah.
I just think it looks better. I mean, in the comic books currently, they have him wearing this kind of armor, you know, with a high collar and stuff, and it just, to me, I just reflexively look at that, and I'm like, it looks Superman-ish.
Yeah.
But there's just something off about it. I look at Cavill in that suit, and I'm like, all right, that's Superman. And I know people are complaining. They're like, I hate the suit. And it's like, I
don't know why.
Yeah, I don't see enough to hate.
Do you know who does wear red undies? Brian Hall.
I wasn't going to go there because
he's not
I'm
here to defend himself.
Because he's not here to defend himself. That's not nice. You're being the Zod of this show, Sean.
I will find him.
It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that they wanted to pack this trailer with as many action shots of Superman hitting things and people.
Yeah.
Because Paul, you made the point about Superman getting shot in the eye as the bullet bounces off.
Yes.
That was, they even said that was like the trailer shot for Superman Returns.
Yep.
And that was actually the only action scene in that movie.
So lame.
Superman gets shot in the eye, and then he gets stabbed a bunch of times by a kryptonite dagger.
He just gets his ass beat through the whole movie. It's just such bullshit. He just gets beat up the whole time. I'm like, is this a Superman movie or Super Wuss movie? Like, what's going on here? Like, he's the biggest, like, wuss of all time. It doesn't. It's
Kevin Spacey macking on that 90-year-old broad is in the an
good
action scene.
Well, and by the way, you know who that woman is. The actress was Noelle Neal, who was the first Lois Lane.
That's a shame.
Yeah, she was in the Superman movie serials, and she was also Lois Lane in the George Reeves Adventures of Superman TV show. So that's why they threw her in there as a cameo. But Man of Steel is very much set on reestablishing why people should care about Superman, and I think the three of us are nerds to some extent. You don't have to sell me, certainly, but you realize that for a lot of people, Superman is just as much outside of their reference as Tarzan or the Lone Ranger. So there is, this movie does have a job ahead of it, which is kind of reselling the character, especially after the last movie. So,
well, you also got to keep in mind too. There's a lot at stake with this in terms of Warner Brothers, because this is the stage setter, which they've openly said is the stage setter for Justice League, and this is DC's move at the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is their first step. It wasn't Dark Knight. Dark Knight stood on its own, but this is their, after the failed attempt with Green Lantern,
right, which was supposed to be the stage setter.
Exactly. This is take two of setting the stage for Justice League, and Man of Steel is going to, its box office, its performance and reception. Believe me, there's going to be a lot of people at Warner Brothers and DC watching this like a hawk to see how they develop the next move. And I guarantee there will be a post-credit sequence to lead into something.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And the other thing, I mean, just in terms of the box office, it needs to open stronger than Superman Returns.
Yeah. If it doesn't open strong, Superman Returns, I think that you can very well rest assured that Justice League is absolutely in trouble.
Yeah. It'll be another Incredible Hulk situation, because I think that opened at about the same level as the Ang Lee one. So we'll see what happens. That is good from what I'm seeing. Reaction to the trailer is pretty positive, so I would expect that the buzz will pick up. I'm assuming anyway.
I'm pulling for a win. It's my number one.
Yeah, well, I think all of us here are rooting for it. So,
yep.
Now, we were talking about Tom Cruise earlier, and I think all of us also are Tom Cruise fans. So for this installment of Movies That Matter, we decided to discuss Tom Cruise, the ouvre of Tom Cruise. Is that how that word is pronounced?
No, I'm not French.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go with that. I think it's pronounced that way. It's like the hors d'oeuvre.
It's the hors d'oeuvre of Tom Cruise.
That's right. Now, Paul, you know this better than anyone. Tom Cruise has been a consistent box office presence since the early 80s, mid 80s?
Yep, 80s. Early 80s.
Early 80s. And
All the Right Moves was kind of his kickoff, and then Risky Business and Top Gun were his signature.
And All the Right Moves is an appropriate label for the arc of his career.
Truly. That's very true. Very good statement.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of actors have come and gone over the years, and yet there's a certain amount of consistency that Tom Cruise has that few actors do. So, Paul, as the resident expert, what do you attribute that consistency to? Why has Tom Cruise been able to remain a box office force, even with all the kind of crazy that swirls around him?
Two things. One, Tom Cruise genuinely cares about filmmaking, making movies. He is deeply involved in the process. He doesn't just show up to set with his lines memorized. He is 10,000 times more dedicated and involved to every single film that he does. The other thing is that he chooses his projects wisely. He has just awesome instincts in terms of choosing what creative individuals he's going to work with. And that takes, if you're going to be somebody's like, hey, I want to work with Tony Scott. I want to work with Ridley Scott. I want to work with, what's his nuts? Brad Bird. He chooses these people because he obviously knows their work. He obviously knows what they're capable of, or sees something in them and says, this guy who's never directed a live-action film and just made these Disney Pixar movies, I think he would be great for Mission Impossible. Where does that come from? It's obviously that somebody is attuned to filmmaking and what kind of movies are going to that he's producing and that he's starring in. I think that he has a very distinct understanding in terms of what works and what doesn't, and I think that he sees the potential in people that others may not. And I think that he's demonstrated that just with the people that he works with on a regular basis. And I stress that mostly with the directors. He's worked with the best in the biz continuously. And he still is. His next projects that he has lined up, he's working with Doug Liman. He's wrapping up All You Need Is Kill right now. He's always working with somebody that inspires him, somebody that's got a lot of potential that may or may not have been tapped just yet for whatever genre he's working in. And he just brings it. He brings his A game, he chooses the right people, and he consistently does that. So, and I think that just proves it, that the testament to Tom Cruise, not to mention just his general charisma and screen presence. He's got it, He proves more than his worth as the #1 box office star in the world.
Even now.
Even now, at 50 years old. It's crazy.
Now, Sean.
Yes.
Let's start with you. I had asked to sort of pick some of our favorite Cruise flicks, and we can talk about some of the stinkers and where we agree or disagree on those. But let's start with the good ones. When you think of like the quintessential Tom Cruise movies, what comes to mind for you?
Well, are you talking about Tom Cruise roles or the movie specifically?
Well, that's a great question. I was thinking more in terms of the films, but I mean, you can interpret however you choose to.
Because when you brought this up, I was thinking specifically of roles and
so like interesting characters he's played.
Yeah, and I think by far my favorite character I've seen him play is in Collateral.
Sure.
I think that's my favorite Tom Cruise role that I've seen. Just because, like what we've talked about, like he is Tom Cruise in everything that you see him in, but he's awesomely Tom Cruise in everything that you see him in.
Awesomely Tom Cruise. That should go on the poster of his next movie.
Collateral is really the only role that I can think of his where he does sort of disappear into the character a little bit, and it has one of my favorite. And this is a credit to what an awesome screen presence he is. It's just one of my favorite moments in that film is when he's got Jamie Foxx handcuffed to the steering wheel, and he's like, I gotta go inside here and take care of this business or whatever, and he just leaves him in this alleyway, like tied to this car, and the gangbangers show up, and they take the briefcase from Jamie Foxx's car, and then Tom Cruise shows up and he's like, hey bro, is that my briefcase? At that moment you're just like, oh damn.
Oh shit.
And it's just like he owned that role, like he's an awesome force in that movie. That's my favorite Tom Cruise role. Okay. I mean, picking the favorite Tom Cruise movie, that's a hard one. Like, I think the Mission Impossible movies are great. I think, Top Gun still holds up. Days of Thunder, which is basically Top Gun with cars.
Yeah.
Somebody else jump in here.
And not a bad thing.
Top Cars.
I love Days of Thunder. Days of Thunder is one of my all-time favorites. I love it.
Now that's interesting, Paul, because I think a lot of people, the general perception anyway, is exactly what Sean said, that, well, Days of Thunder is basically just regurgitated Top Gun.
Well, it's easy to say that. I mean, it's Tony Scott directing. You have that style, and Tony Scott's style is instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
You see a Tony Scott movie like this is, if you're familiar with his style and you haven't seen all of his movies, and I showed you a few frames of one, you'd be like, that's a Tony Scott movie. So I think that stigma kind of follows, but it's a great stigma in my opinion. It's Tony Scott,
the late great
Tony Scott. But Days of Thunder is it's a really rousing, fun, race car movie. It's silly, it's a blast. It's a totally fun ride. It's much like Oblivion. It's kind of like what you go to the movies for, a big spectacle of fun, and it's not going to change your life. It's not going to reinvent the genre, but it's a great time. And as always, Tom Cruise delivers.
I have a grudge against Days of Thunder, and it's a completely irrational grudge, but I blame that movie. Robert Duvall did Days of Thunder instead of The Godfather Part 3. And so I blame that movie for sticking George Hamilton into The Godfather 3. So, I have this irrational hatred towards Days of Thunder because of that, even though the movie itself is fine, obviously. But I'm like, because of you, we got George Hamilton and The Godfather. How does that happen?
Yeah, who decides that? We can't get Robert Duvall. It's George Hamilton.
I hate to break it to you, Zaki, but Robert Duvall wouldn't have saved Godfather Part 3.
Touché.
Shitty movie.
Well, my theory on this is that had Duvall been in there, and had they obviously gotten a better actor to play, what's her name, Sofia Coppola's role, we probably would have been able to paper over some of the flaws a little bit more. Obviously, the movie itself is pretty flawed, but I'm an optimist. I mean, I still like Godfather 3, honestly, even though it is a horribly flawed movie. I like Die Hard 5, for goodness sake.
Oh my God! Please don't even go there.
We're not going to have that conversation.
Tom Cruise.
That's right. Stay focused. Okay, so a couple of the good movies. We've mentioned Top Gun, obviously. We've mentioned Days of Thunder. We mentioned Collateral. One of my favorite Tom Cruise movies is the Mission Impossible 3, and I link Mission Impossible 4 to that, because I view them kind of as a piece. Now, you guys know that I am not a fan of the first two Mission Impossibles,
right?
But that's obviously that's not really, it doesn't have anything to do with Tom Cruise. But I feel like the Mission Impossible franchise was where he kind of, I don't know, he reinvented himself to an extent, because those movies allow him to just have a platform for all the action-y stuff that he ever wants to do.
Yep.
And so then he's able to branch out with his other movies. Now he's done a few films that were less than well received. Just recently, he did Night and Day,
which actually still was made more than $200 million worldwide and considered a big hit.
Really? Okay. Yep. See, this is why I rely on you, Paul, because as far as I knew, that was the downward trend of Tom Cruise, where people were looking at that and saying, nope.
I don't hate Night and Day, but it's definitely not one of his strongest films. But
yeah,
it still was not a flop.
Well, and I think that came out right around the time where the narrative sprang up, sort of in the ether, right? Oh, crazy Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Like, where did that come from? Because he had this long ride
People
as kind of an unburnished celebrity. Say that again, Sean?
I think just people overreacting.
But where did that come from all of a sudden?
It's interesting. I think that it sounds just so cliched to be like, oh, the media. But I mean, where did it blow up? It blew up on the media. It's like the guy goes and jumps on a couch. I mean,
it's
to this day,
I forgot about
to this day, I'm like, okay, well, I'm still kind of perplexed. I'm like, so the guy jumped on a couch, and he did like a little like dance, not really a jump. He just kind of like,
right.
And he was generally excited and fun, or he seemed so anyways. I mean, we can get into conspiracy theories and blah, 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 but
right.
I mean, who gives a shit? I don't care. I mean, you're going on Oprah, for God's sake. Oprah's going to sensationalize you as much as possible. She didn't get to where she was by playing it cool and calm and quiet, and I just feel like it was just so overblown, and I just don't care. And you know what? I also, in a world, where everybody's trying to be very PC and, we respect everybody's religion and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I don't care if he's a Scientologist. I don't care if he believes in that. I mean, everybody believes in their own little variation of whatever they believe in. That's fine. Who cares? If he wants to believe in aliens as his god or whatever, like, whatever.
I agree. It was really blown out of proportion to like to the point where it was just like, did you know Tom Cruise was this total weirdo?
And it's supposed and they believe it had an effect on Mission Impossible 3's box office, even though it was still a huge hit. Right. But how sad is that? I mean, he didn't do. He's not like some pedophile. He's not somebody that did something that was so terrible. I mean, the dude jumped on a couch and it comes out, he's a Scientologist. Oh, well, I can't see Mission Impossible 3, even though it's like one of the most, at that time, the best of the series and a totally kick-ass, movie. I can't see it now. It makes no sense.
Well,
asinine.
But you know what, Paul? It goes. I mean, I think you answered the like why it was perceived this way a little bit earlier in our discussion, because I think just as a society we tend to be uncomfortable with expressions of emotion, and even if I would probably have said, hey, maybe don't jump on the couch. Like if he just sat there and said, I love her, nobody would have batted an eye, right? But he does a couch jumping thing, and all of a sudden we're like, I don't know how I'm supposed to react to this. And it's not, when you think about it, it's not that dissimilar from, oh, you're gonna cry at Superman, it's that same. It's that we don't know. Emotion makes us weird. Emotion makes us weird.
Well, it's true, and I think if you look at, I'm sorry, Sean, look at the way that we react as human beings in our own lives. We don't have a camera in front of us, and we have life events or we have something going on. We don't go on a show and do an interview about it. But I guarantee you all of us have done some really embarrassing, weird shit when we're excited or unhappy or what have you. And we've said things that we didn't really mean or said things that we meant that we didn't really want anybody to know. Right. Stuff like that. We all do those things. But like Tom Cruise, along with every other celebrity, are in the limelight. So whatever they say, whatever they do, it's under the spotlight and it's open for interpretation. There is no right or wrong. We all come from different backgrounds throughout the entire world. So it's very easy for it to get, as Sean said, blown out of proportion and put into a whole nother light, and it really affects the perception of an individual that's in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to say there's just a real brief tangent because it applies here, and we don't need to discuss the details of what happened in Boston earlier this week, but what I thought was amazing was like the sort of power of the human spirit that came out. People helping one another in the face of this great tragedy. But specifically to what we're talking about, I'm a huge Boston Red Sox fan, and during the seventh inning stretch of each game, they play "Sweet Caroline" by Neil Diamond. It's the tradition. So the day after the bombing at the marathon, all the stadiums in Major League Baseball throughout the country all played "Sweet Caroline," or did some sort of tribute, to Boston, the city of Boston, and to the Red Sox. And like in Milwaukee, they played the Cheers theme song. And like at Yankee Stadium, who like the Yankees are the hated rivals, up on the scoreboard they showed the Red Sox logo and the Yankees logo together with the words, like United We Stand. And I was just watching, like, it's heartwarming stuff and it's inspiring stuff. And it was amazing, and I'm glad that it was real. But at the same time, I think how it applies here, it's interesting because, like, you see that stuff, and, like, if you see that stuff in a movie, it's easy to be like, oh, that's so cheesy. Like, that would never happen. People,
I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
No, I totally get where you're going with that, and I think you're absolutely right that we see things in movies all the time. We're like, movie audiences are like the toughest and ugliest cynics in the world.
Yeah.
And we all like to pretend like we're not. I've seen this many times before, believe me, where people try to defend themselves and say, oh, I'm not. I'm just an average moviegoer. Bullshit. The people that say that, the people that are into film, listen, the bottom line is, whether you want to admit it or not, the way you're perceived to the people that are your friends and family that aren't movie geeks, they see you as an elitist jerk.
Yep.
It's not fun to talk to you about movies. Trust me. It's not. It's fun for us to talk to each other, but talking to somebody outside, they're like, oh, man, why don't you just like the movie? You just say, yeah, Grown-Ups is awesome. But, I mean, what you have, you get with audiences that go to movies and they see things happen. You see fantastic things happen, even based on a true story. And I see it all the time, and it annoys the shit out of me. It's like, oh, that's totally bullshit. That would never happen. That couldn't happen. That's not real. That's so fake. Like, how do you know? Have you experienced that moment? Do you know? I mean, you think that nothing fantastic has ever happened in the world? I mean, give me a break. Granted, like, I got this guy right here. I have
something fantastic, clearly.
You shut your mouth. But we're naturally cynics, and I think that applies to with all the way down to Tom Cruise jumping on the couch.
That's exactly
we're naturally like, oh, what is this?
Yeah, let's get back to how weird Tom Cruise is. Come on.
We're bringing it home right now. You've been listening to this tangent. We're bringing it home right now. This is where it sails right back in.
That's what I was getting back to.
Right to Tom Cruise. But I think that's what it all comes down to. That is, we're naturally, cynical and kind of nasty about the realness or potential realness or genuineness of something happening. Because we're not like, oh, the good things don't ever happen. Everything's just shit. I mean, you get a lot of people just feel that way, and it's a little disheartening. And but I think that's a direct culprit to why Tom Cruise's image got tarnished temporarily. He's definitely on the up and up at this point, though.
Now, okay, we're running a little short on time, so really quickly, I want you guys to pick one Tom Cruise flick that you think is underrated and that you would want to recommend to our listeners. So, Paul, let's start with you.
That's a tough question. I wish I was more prepared to answer that. Man. Well, I won't say necessarily underrated, maybe not recognized enough. I discussed this earlier, too. The Last Samurai, I believe, is really kind of the perfect blend of your intense Tom Cruise and your action Tom Cruise. It's almost like a blending of his Ron Kovic from Born on the 4th of July mixed with the Mission Impossible Ethan Hunt role. Because if you look at it in that sense, he's a very flawed character. He's a veteran. He's seen and done in some horrible things, and he's also goes through this huge character arc where he becomes a hero. And there's a lot of action sequences, and obviously Tom Cruise is very involved in that. And I think that's a perfect blend. If you really wanted to look at, what is the movie that represents the first part of Tom Cruise's career and the second part of Tom Cruise's career, I think The Last Samurai is the perfect merge of those two pieces of his career.
Nice. I had forgotten about The Last Samurai, but I think that's a great example.
Me too.
Sean, what about you?
Similar to Paul, I was thinking along the same train of thought, where not necessarily an underrated or underappreciated movie, but I think Jerry Maguire does sort of get forgotten about because we do tend to remember Tom Cruise for his big action roles like Mission Impossible, Minority Report, and all these. But Jerry Maguire is a good movie, and he's really, really good in that movie. And I think it suffers a little bit from like Titanic syndrome, where it is sort of remembered as being this like mushy, wussy, girly date movie kind of thing, and like you don't want to, guys don't want to admit that. Like, I was rooting for him and Renee Zellweger in that movie. I thought she was adorable. I thought he was awesome. I loved their relationship. like the Cuba Gooding Jr. stuff. I thought was awesome.
Remember when Renee Zellweger used to be adorable?
Yeah.
Seems like such a long time ago.
Well, Jerry Maguire is also the movie where really the first time we ever saw Tom Cruise as like funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
That's
whoa,
true.
Tom Cruise can be funny. He's since done a couple, comedic performances. What you could arguably say with Magnolia, he was, kind of a dirtbag, and it was pretty funny watching him be a dirtbag, and then emotional at the end, and then with the Tropic Thunder stuff.
That's right. Now they were talking about giving him his own movie as this Tropic Thunder character. Would you want to see that?
Pointless.
I would see it, but
I wouldn't.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, I
I'll
agree.
bet my life on it. You'll never see a Les Grossman movie, so don't hold your breath.
Don't hold your breath.
Tom Cruise has got like 5 projects lined up right now. I mean, by the time he got to it, it's going to be so far down the line.
And he was he nominated for an Oscar for Tropic Thunder? No, Robert Downey was. Robert Downey. Okay, for my pick for the underrated Tom Cruise movie, I'm going to say Valkyrie.
Really?
That's a good movie.
From 2008, and this this came out really at the peak of the Cruise hate.
Right.
Yeah, that was the follow-up after Mission Impossible 3, wasn't it?
I think so.
Mission Impossible 3 was 2006, so this was, I guess, right? I mean, this was 2 years later, so...
I'm pretty sure Valkyrie was the one that followed right after that, because it was as you said, right in the midst of everybody all of a sudden...
It just sort of came and went. I don't think anybody went to see it.
It came and went, and got a great cast. I mean, you got Kenneth Branagh, Bill Nighy, Terrence Stamp, Tom Wilkinson is in there, and this was also kind of meant to be a comeback movie for Bryan Singer, and it didn't really work out for either of them. I mean, Tom Cruise kind of went back to Mission Impossibles, and Bryan Singer went back to the X-Men after this. And then Bryan Singer did Jack the Giant Killer, but we won't talk about that.
Oh, God.
But I think that Valkyrie, which is, that's about the plot to kill Hitler, spoiler, it failed. It gives us a slightly different Tom Cruise. So again, he never fully escapes kind of his persona. It's kind of just like Harrison Ford. But unlike Harrison Ford in U571 or whatever that movie was, what was it? K-19. He's not trying to do the horrible accent. It's slightly less distracting. I mean, you just buy it. It's Tom Cruise in an eye patch.
Right.
And it's a movie that has not been seen by many, and I do think it's worth watching. I think it's perfectly solid. I think it is engaging. It's definitely worth the rental.
Yeah. Better than Superman Returns.
Well, a lot of things are better than Superman. The video of this podcast is already better than Superman Returns. That's true. Now, as we do every week, we have a trivia quiz, and Sean, I believe you've prepared some Tom Cruise-related trivia.
I have, and this is going to be an epic battle, because Paul is undefeated. He's been on the show twice before, and has not lost. And Zaki,
now you've just jinxed me.
You won the last, I think, 6 games in a row or something like that.
Well, I go into this as the underdog because, as we've established, Paul is the king of the ring when it comes to Tom Cruise. So,
yes.
Not like I've read a biography or anything. Just like the guy's movie. Let's calm down.
So now let's see.
I did order some of his hair off of eBay.
It's in the glass case.
So rather than, because it's difficult to remember the names of characters in certain Tom Cruise movies, let's just pick your favorite Tom Cruise movie as your avatar.
I'm going to be Taps.
Taps? I thought you had to be a character.
No.
No, he said pick the movie.
It's too hard to remember the character names, so just pick a movie.
I will be... Oh, it's so hard. I'll be Cole. Cole Trickle.
Oh,
wait, I just chose a name. Days of Thunder. That's fine.
Just shout out whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
Just poo. Pee. All right, go ahead.
Just say something. All right. Question number 1. In 1992, budding Scientologist Tom Cruise claimed that the religion cured him of what?
Days of Thunder.
Go ahead.
Dyslexia.
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the Cosby Show episode where Theo had dyslexia?
I do remember that. I actually just saw that a couple days ago.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
All right, that's one for Cole. Whatever.
Cole Trickle.
Cole Trickle.
Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
Whatever Paul wants to say. Just
Whatever Paul wants to say.
Hi, Brian. Question number 2. Which Outsiders co-star was Tom Cruise's best man when he married actress Mimi Rogers?
Days of Thunder.
Yeah.
Rob Lowe.
No.
Oh.
Taps.
Yes.
Patrick Swayze.
No. You can keep guessing.
Days of Thunder.
Yes.
C. Thomas Howell.
No.
Oh, crap. Days of Thunder.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Emilio Estevez.
That's correct.
Oh, whatever. Here, I'm going to go to the bathroom while Paul answers the rest of the questions. Is that all right?
Here's another fun fact. Did you guys know that Tom Cruise does not allow his likeness to be used for video games or action figures?
I did not. That's good.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know.
Very interesting. Wow, that is kind of interesting, actually.
All right, question number 3. You got to catch up here, Zaki.
I would assume that also applies to comic books, because I was going through my comic books the other day and I found
Iron Man.
Well, I wasn't thinking about that.
Remember
Yeah,
the Iron Man reboot when Tony Stark looked just like Tom Cruise?
Well, because they were courting
He was originally
Tom
going to-
Cruise. Yeah. No, but in 1996, Marvel put out a Mission Impossible comic that tied into the movie, which it hadn't come out yet, and it was drawn by Rob Liefeld.
Oh, no.
So you just know they didn't even have to worry about likeness rights.
Yeah. They all look the same.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Sean.
Question number 3. Tom Cruise was considered for this blockbuster that eventually went to Denzel Washington.
Taps. Wait.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Days of Thunder.
Zaki first.
Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know.
Gold Trickle?
You said went to Denzel Washington, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I was going to say Salt, because that went to Angelina Jolie, though.
That was Angelina Jolie.
Let me think here.
You can buzz in again if you want to.
Was it a blockbuster?
Mm-hmm.
Has Denzel ever done a blockbuster?
We've mentioned the director on this show.
What? On this episode?
Yeah, we mentioned the director on this episode.
Taps. He got game.
Nope.
Days of Thunder.
Yes.
Crimson Tide.
Correct.
Oh. I did not. Oh, I can totally see that, though.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Huh.
I didn't know that. I just guessed.
I'm going to stand by he got game.
We did talk quite a bit about Spike Lee in this episode.
That's right.
Another Tom Cruise fun fact. In the 2002 Academy Awards, after the opening sequence, he did not stick around for the rest of the show because it was his turn to watch the kids.
Oh.
So after the big intro, he actually left the show and went home and watched the kids and watched the show.
Trying to be a good husband.
Yep.
Damn.
Weeks before he divorced her.
Unleash.
Question number 4. Zaki's playing for pride.
I know. Right. Paul's our guest. I'm trying to be nice.
Of Cocktail, Jack Reacher, and Risky Business, which film grossed the least at the box office?
Days of Thunder.
Yes.
Cocktail.
No.
Taps.
Yes.
Jack Reacher.
No.
Taps.
Business.
Risky Business.
That is correct. Risky Business grossed 63, 78 for Jack Reacher, and 80 for Cocktail. No, I'm sorry, 78 for Cocktail and 80 for Jack Reacher. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do you just off the chance? Do you know what his highest grossing movie was?
Ever?
Yeah.
There's Ghost Protocol.
I'm assuming one of the was it MI4?
War of the Worlds, according to IMDb.
Oh, okay, interesting. That is also one of the movies.
Gross, or are you talking just domestic?
Domestic. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Bam. Question number 5.
Two different ones.
I did not like War of the Worlds, by the way. That was.
I like the first hour.
Yeah.
When they get to Tim Robbins' house,
until Tim Robbins shows up. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Question number 5. Tom Cruise's love scene in this movie was added in post-production. Was added post-production, not in post-production.
No, I don't know.
That's a tough one.
It's actually rated PG, if I remember correctly.
Taps.
Yeah.
Legend?
No.
No.
Take my breath away.
Days of Thunder.
Taps.
I just said Days of Thunder.
Fine.
Days of Thunder. It is Top Gun.
That's not fair. Okay, whatever. I don't care.
Do you guys remember? I remember as a kid remembering how awkward that love scene was.
Dude, totally.
Because they do a lot of it's not just like regular tongue kissing. It's like it's like they're sword fighting with their tongues. They're doing these
that's
weird
because she
jabs.
doesn't want to be with him. He doesn't want to be with her.
I just remember it being really awkward. It's really uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It still is. If you watch Top Gun again, it's a really awkward.
She did not
sequence.
want a penis anywhere near her.
Yes. And he didn't want... Well, anyway.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Is that it, Sean?
That's it. Last fun fact was that October 10th, 2006 was declared National Tom Cruise Day in Japan.
Whoa. I gotta go to Japan on that day.
I know.
Japanic.
I remember when Paul and I went to see Eyes Wide Shut together.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Couldn't leave without that story.
And I just remember it being incredibly awkward for me.
It really was, and I'll tell you why. I mean, the movie is very odd and awkward as it is. But Zaki, there's me, this clean-cut white college boy, and here we have Zaki.
This ruggedly handsome...
my favorite little Muslim boy. We look like this weird, you could almost, if you really wanted to equate it into some kind of gay couple thing, go right ahead. Wouldn't hold it against you. As we go and walk into Eyes Wide Shut, and we make the mistake of sitting right next to each other in the theater.
That's right. Yeah, we didn't have a buffer seat.
There was no buffer. And I gotta be honest, I really don't believe in the buffer because I'm perfectly situated in my manhood. I don't have an issue with sitting next to a man in the theater. However, at Eyes Wide Shut, which was 5 hours long.
It really was.
A lot of just these weird, awkward sex scenes. Just a completely weird sex scenes. And here's me and Zaki just sitting there. Right next to each other. And I remember leaving, and it was I had a headache. It was just it was kind of just a horrible experience, to be quite honest. And
then we went to Max and Irma's after that. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Max and Irma's.
Yeah, the restaurant. It was in the same plaza because we went to there was an AMC
right.
in Warrenville.
So that game continued. I don't remember that.
we went and it was just we didn't even discuss the movie.
Well, there really wasn't much to discuss. I think I would appreciate it more if I watched it now.
It was just
really
a half hour of silence.
Yeah, it was. It's just such a weird movie, but it did have the best final line, which I won't utter.
Yeah, please don't.
Show rating.
Random trivia: the day that we went and saw that movie was the day that John F. Kennedy Jr. died.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember that. It does remind me.
It took 400 days to shoot that movie.
It's ridiculous.
I absolutely believe it. I think Stanley Kubrick died while they were shooting, and then they shot for another 3 months before they realized he was dead. They just kept going. Yeah, Sean, it reminds me of when you and I went to see Wild Things. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
There was a man pleasuring himself right behind us.
Oh yeah, I remember you guys saying that.
Yeah, it was a good
time.
That's awesome.
The infamous menage a trois. There was a squeaky seat behind us. When the movie
and a man who was squeaking the seat, which is that's not code for anything.
The movie ended. Zaki and I stood up. We noticed that the guy had a magazine folded over his lap, and we're like, "We're out of here."
Oh wow! Did you check the back of your necks?
Oh, dude!
I don't remember putting hair gel in today.
On that note, God help us on that note. So, Paul, you are the news editor at JoeBlow.com.
I am indeed.
And your column called "Come On Hollywood" appears which day?
Every Tuesday.
Come on,
every Tuesday, and should have some new stuff brewing. So try to get some new columns out. Hopefully in the next month. So
now,
can't say anything about it yet.
Do you write your columns right before they post, or do you bank them, or what's your process there?
It varies. There's some weeks where I'll confer with the editor-in-chief, and we'll kind of bounce some ideas around if there's some topics that are really hot. But generally, I have complete freedom in terms of finding topics, and sometimes I present them, and sometimes I just go with them. So there's quite a bit of freedom and leniency there. But I'll be honest, there's quite a few times where I've worked up to 0 hour, literally like finishing it just before I go to bed Monday night, and then I post it the second that I wake up and start my shift on Tuesday. So it does happen. And honestly, a lot of times it'll come, the story or what I'm going to write about won't even come to me until that Monday.
Yeah.
And then sometimes something will happen the week before. You'll be like, oh man, I'm writing about that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the process.
Well, we can look for your new column every Tuesday morning. So I hope people do check that out. Sean, where can people find you on the web?
Real quick, Paul, what is the quote? I'll get your own Corvette. What is that from?
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. Thank you.
The Return of Swamp Thing. The sequel.
the greatest movie ever made. That's the subtitle of Return of Swamp Thing.
Get your own Corvette.
Get your own Corvette.
Heather Locklear and Louis Jordan. Yeah.
Anyway, I can be found on moosehub.com, and we can all be found on MrBoyProductions.com, and we can all be found on Facebook.com/MovieFilmPodcast, and we can also be found on MovieFilmPodcast.com.
Thank you. That is a long list.
Pretty much, you can just Google movie film and you will find them.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're at that point.
And Brian, who's not here, can be found at, what is it? Everything.
And Brian is not here, so toughcrap.
Brian is not here.co.uk.
And, of course, I am at zakiscorner.com. That's ZAKIS corner.com, where my movie reviews will be appearing with a lot more regularity now that summer is starting. Also at Huffington Post, where my review of Oblivion should be up shortly. So by the time you listen to this, it should be ready for your reading pleasure. Next week, we'll be talking about Iron Man 3 as summer movie season kicks off. We'll also be talking about our hopes and dreams, next episode, I should say, in 2 weeks, as well as our hopes and dreams and predictions for where summer movie will take us. Summer movie season, that is. That wraps it up for another episode of the Movie Film Podcast. My name is Zaki Hassan, and on behalf of Sean Coyle and Paul Shirey, we will see you in 2 weeks. Take care. Well, not Paul, but hopefully soon Paul.
The hell is it?
Bye-bye.